We are living in an age of information warfare. There is too much information out there. And even when we hear the truth, another person can just go say the opposite, and then we're back to square one. We don't know what's real. Information is a weapon. What information are you looking at, focusing on, and who do you believe? And how do you know if something's real? I'm Dr. Leila Ali. I'm a holistic pharmacist and author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. And today I want to talk about how information warfare expresses itself in terms of healthcare. Let's take a look at diabetes. I did a video on diabetes a few weeks ago, and I shared that patients often take medication after medication only to get sicker and sicker. And people struggle with diabetes for years when they don't need to. In many cases, it can actually be reversed in a matter of weeks. When I say diabetes, I'm talking about the type 2 diabetics, although type 1 diabetics can also get good results from these practices. I shared two examples of ways to reverse diabetes. The first was a documentary called Simply Raw, and they had amazing results. And some of the patients had very high glucose levels when they walked in. And the second was Dr. Jason Fung, who's a kidney specialist and author, and he specializes in weight loss and managing blood glucose levels, focusing on low carbohydrate diets and intermittent fasting. And these are both amazing and enlightening resources, and they share how some small shifts can make a big difference in your blood sugar levels. These should be embraced by all the healthcare professionals and organizations that want to help people and find the cure for diabetes, so every diabetic is aware of them. But they are not. The common belief continues to be that diabetes is an incurable long-term chronic disease. And why is that? Why are there some simple solutions for diabetes that the experts aren't talking about? And the answer is that we live in a capitalistic society where businesses have to make a profit, and that means healthcare too. Additionally, many of us depend upon our experts in healthcare for the best advice, and we try to find different sources of information. Next, I'm going to show you 10 of our resources and experts in healthcare that are all not giving you the best advice for diabetes. Number 1, medical doctors. If you go to a medical doctor, their education now is mostly funded by pharmaceutical companies. So much that medical doctors are not trained in the simple methods of how to reverse diabetes. In fact, there's a lack of nutrition education in medical schools, with many students only receiving less than 20 hours of nutrition education. And with diabetes, your medical doctor is only minimally trained in the information that can help the most. Therefore, eventually you'll be put on drug after drug, and then higher and higher doses of insulin. There are many doctors who continue their education and learn about nutrition and other approaches on their own to better help their patients. But the standard education in medical school will only teach them how to prescribe drugs. Number 2, pharmacists. What about pharmacists? I can tell you from firsthand experience that pharmacists only learn about the drugs for diabetes and all the side effects. There is no training in natural ways to reverse diabetes, and I only learned about it after I graduated and started exploring holistic and natural ways to heal. Diabetics are great long-term customers for the pharmacy. They buy a bunch of expensive medications, and they keep getting sicker. And all we do is keep filling up their prescription bottles when they want more. Number 3, pharmaceutical companies. It's not big news to anyone that pharmaceutical companies are in it for the money. They become huge moneymakers by creating drugs. Herbal remedies and medicinal plants are naturally occurring, so a company can't put a patent on them. So drug companies have to take something that's naturally occurring and alter it in a laboratory or create a new drug to make the big dollars. Therefore, you'll never hear them promoting any simple or natural ways to treat diabetes or any health condition. They make their profits when they make a disease seem even bigger than it is, and they'll rescue you with their new drug. Drug companies make huge profits on insulin and new medication for diabetes, but diabetics don't need a new medication created in a laboratory. They need a few shifts in their diets and lifestyle. Number 4, drug commercials on TV. As we all know, drug commercials are on TV all day long. This is called direct-to-consumer advertising. In most countries, this is not legal, and the drug companies can only advertise to medical doctors in medical journals or other publications. Direct-to-consumer advertising has been allowed since the law changed in the mid-1990s, and it's only allowed in two countries in the world, the United States and New Zealand. In 2003, drug companies spent $59 million on pharmaceutical advertising per year. Today, they spend $6.4 billion on these advertisements. That's 100 times more spending. Now, there's an advertisement on TV once every 10 minutes. This makes it seem like pharmaceutical drugs are a normal response to any health condition or disease. It puts them in our consciousness, and many people have forgotten that there are sometimes simpler and natural ways to heal. And you won't see a simpler natural solution advertised on television. They simply can't afford it. Number 5, the American Diabetes Association. The American Diabetes Association is a nonprofit organization with a mission to prevent and cure diabetes and to improve the lives of all people affected by diabetes. So prevent and cure. So surely they'll have information that a raw food diet and intermittent fasting can help reverse and heal diabetes. Let's take a look. Under the treatment and care section, get the right care for you. It has blood sugar testing and medication management. So under medication management, they have a section on insulin, and then oral medications, getting it right. Then in the understanding type 2 section, type 2 diabetes is the most common form of diabetes, and it means that your body does not use insulin properly. And while some people can control their blood sugar levels with healthy eating and exercising, others may need medication or insulin to help management. Again, no mention that diabetes can be reversed. Your body doesn't use insulin properly. There's something wrong with your body. It's not just off balance. Now, the movie Simply Raw came out in 2009. And the first thing they did in the movie, they had a quote from the American Diabetes Association. Diabetes is a chronic disease that has no cure. Although they're no longer claiming that there's no cure, they're still telling you there's something wrong with your body and it's not working properly. Also, they do have a nutrition section. What can I eat? And they do have a page on nutrition. So they've come a long way in giving advice from saying it's incurable, but they still have a long way to go and letting people know it is reversible. Number 6, walks to raise money. This is a tour de cure. Not only does the American Diabetes Association have a mission to prevent and cure diabetes, they also hold an annual event to ride, run, walk for life. So you'll be able to contribute to a noble and worthy cause and get a little exercise at the same time. Your support will go to helping them ignore the simple and natural solutions that would reverse diabetes, and instead you'll help raise money so they can find a cure. Okay. Number 7, Center for Disease Control, CDC. The Center for Disease Control is a leading national public health institute and one of the authorities we look to for health information, especially during a crisis like the coronavirus pandemic. Their mission statement is to protect America from health, safety, and security threats, both foreign and in the U.S., whether diseases start at home or abroad, are chronic or acute, curable or preventable, human error or deliberate attack. CDC fights disease and supports communities and citizens to do the same. So let's see what they have to say about diabetes. Surely they'll have some better information on how to simply reverse diabetes. Again, just like the American Diabetes Association is telling you there's something wrong with your body, the cells don't respond normally to insulin. If you scroll down, there's no suggestion on the page that you can easily reverse your diabetes. Instead, a big section on how to manage it, talking about testing your blood glucose throughout the day, as well as stress management and making regular appointments with your healthcare team. Again, the mission is to protect America from health, safety, and security threats, including chronic diseases. Yet, just like the American Diabetes Association, it doesn't share that important information that diabetes can be reversed, but it only has the information on how to manage your diabetes long term. Number 8, the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization has received $3.5 billion from U.S. taxpayers since 2010. They recently lost funding and are under investigation after the response to the coronavirus pandemic. Their mission statement is to develop and improve healthcare services and infrastructures in underserved regions worldwide. Let's see what they have to say about diabetes. Surely with a more worldly perspective, They'll have information on how you can reverse diabetes. Nope, this is the same language as the CDC and the ADA. The body becomes resistant to insulin or doesn't make enough insulin. There's something wrong with you. Are you noticing some patterns? These are independent organizations, yet they all have the same writing and the same bosses. Number 9, health insurance companies. A recent trend for large health insurance companies is to own mail-order pharmacy, which is insane and a complete conflict of interest. Unlike car insurance that gives incentives and rewards for you being a safe driver, health insurance companies have no reason to encourage you or give you the best information to stay healthy. They make their money on the insurance side and on the selling drugs side. So you are much more profitable for them when you're sick. If there's a major illness like cancer, then the insurance company will charge higher premiums to the employers and the customers. And if they have to take a lot of medications, then they can make a lot of money through the mail order pharmacy. So someone with diabetes, they'll get the higher insurance premiums, plus diabetics take a lot of expensive medications, including insulin and testing supplies. So the health insurance companies that own mail order pharmacies have no incentive to keep you healthy. So don't expect to see information on how to reverse diabetes from one of these companies. They would simply lose tons of money. Number 10, news on television. Now, these guys get a lot of funding from the advertisement, which is dominated by the pharmaceutical companies. So the stories they report on will be biased. You won't see any in-depth stories about how a dangerous drug may have killed someone, or the many dangerous side effects of vaccines. And you won't see major stories on simple techniques that can reverse diabetes. These could cause your major clients to lose a lot of money, and that would be very rude, to say the least. And if you think your newscasters are independent researchers with different opinions, take a look at this.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 You can see the newscasters are getting all their messages from the same master, and same with all the different authorities on diabetes, including medical doctors, American Diabetes Association, Center for Disease Control, World Health Organization. And this is what happens when big business controls your country. Meanwhile, these two guys are telling you that you can reverse diabetes naturally. But there's not much corporate profit in raw foods and intermittent fasting, especially when diabetics are creating over $327 billion per year in profits. And once you understand how this works, then you can make sense of other things in the world, like the medical doctors and hospitals giving financial incentives to document patients as COVID-19. Why Bill Gates is welcomed all over mainstream media for his opinion on how to handle COVID-19 with vaccines.
And what might help us in this situation?
Like when medical professionals have no treatment but to shelter in place, and instead a treatment is offered by a non-medical professional, the president. The medical doctors who used it had great results.
I do want to ask you about hydroxychloroquine, but what you're saying is you're prescribing it and it is working for COVID-19 patients.
Every patient I prescribed it to has been very, very ill, and within 8 to 12 hours, they were basically symptom-free.
I was actually surprised. Within 24 hours, the patient was completely symptom-free. It's called hydroxychloroquine. It costs $13.
Yet the mainstream media still worked hard to discredit it, saying there's no studies.
A panel of experts at the NIH is actually now recommending against the use of hydroxychloroquine in combination with Z-Pak.
No conclusions can be drawn on the risk-benefit profile when it comes to utilizing hydroxychloroquine for the treatment of COVID-19.
And this is talking about a drug that has been on the market for 60 years. And patients with rheumatoid arthritis or lupus often take it for years. Having a worldwide pandemic be treated with an old medication that is inexpensive and works well basically ruins all their plans of keeping people in fear and waiting for that next profitable drug or vaccine. And this can also explain why Donald Trump defunded the World Health Organization. This is just one organization of many that has been using U.S. taxpayers' money for years, yet has stopped working in our best interests long ago. So in summary, if you want to get healthy, then it's time to reevaluate those we consider to be experts in health and start looking other places for the best information.